Hello everyone, welcome back, good evening. Welcome back to the show. We've got some interesting stuff to talk about tonight. Some crazy movement coming from Ethereum specifically. You'll notice that is above 4,000, big deal. We'll be discussing more about that, the reason why it's happening. The amount of people just trying to suppress Ethereum and they couldn't do it, you know? It's about that same kind of inevitability that, people try to short Bitcoin with. You can't short Bitcoin. You can make some small profits, but ultimately, Bitcoin is going to come back. It's unstoppable. It's got a fixed supply. It's the hedge against inflation. There's nothing you can do to stop Bitcoin's price from continuing to go higher eventually. This is an asset that will continue to go up forever. Because of that, of course, what's the second most popular coin out there? Ethereum. It doesn't really have a max supply, so that's what most people started to take advantage of it and started shorting Ethereum, selling it off, suppressing the price, manipulating it. We've seen all the, remember the Bybit hack? Crazy manipulation going on there even after, who was it? Bybit were able to recover all the Ethereum that was stolen from North Koreans. But even Binance was in on the action. We'll talk more about that. Bitcoin's price is, okay, it seems like we've met our resistance based off of the downtrend line specifically. I'm just going to readjust it here because that seems to be the case that we currently have right now. Not exactly perfect with where I had my pivot levels or, supports. No, these are resistances. What am I talking about? I do want to figure out what if, since we have bottomed out over here at 100 and almost 112K, that actually perfectly matches that resistance right there at 117,500. I should have caught that earlier, but I didn't. It is what it is. Fib extension. It's, this is for like longer term where I'm setting my targets to, right? So ignoring all this noise in the middle here, we should really be paying attention to these lines and then these ones, not this. So my own personal target for Bitcoin for this cycle, 135,000, super conservative. We're probably going to shoot far past that, and I firmly believe that will be the case this time as well. So that's one thing to expect. What am I doing? Please zoom in. All right. So, I mean, that explains the current resistance trouble that we're having with continuing forward for Bitcoin specifically. The other altcoins, they've been having a decent day today. Chainlink's still doing great. Crazy. You'll notice I don't have any positions. I took some profits. Do I regret them? Nah, probably. They weren't too much anyway, so I don't mind it. Could have put in a lot more, waited a while longer, could have made a lot more. But it is what it is. We'll discuss more about that when we get there. Okay, so we have Bitcoin ranging between 116 and 117,500. Of course, current price of Bitcoin 116,563, down 0.28%. Really not a lot of movement coming from Bitcoin, which is fine. We're still on our way up, that's for sure. The uptrend is still there, although temporarily we do have this downtrend that we got to take care of, but we're at the top of it at the moment. We can break 117,500. It'll take us to around the 118,000 range, right? We got a couple levels over here, which an area we could consolidate into. Can this please disappear? Thank you. So that's what we could expect in the upcoming days. We are heading into the weekend. That is one thing to keep in note. That will bring low volatility. We could stay, of course, within here for a while longer. But ultimately, I'm expecting a breakout toward the upside. Now, we do have economic data coming out next week that has to do with measuring inflation. I still think firmly, like, regardless of the data that comes out, I'm going to make this claim now. I don't think we're going to see a major move in the percentages of, the percent chance that we will be getting a rate cut next month. We even have JP Morgan, I think it was JP Morgan, very, like, they had such a negative outlook on this whole rate cut situation for this year to the point where they were even pricing in a possible rate hike for this year, saying that tariffs would cause inflation, kind of siding with Jerome Powell on this whole issue and expecting no rate cuts for this year. But now seems like they had a change in their mind, a change in mind, change of heart. Man, English is really hard. And it seems like they're actually pricing that in now, the fact that we will be getting a rate cut in the next meeting in September. September meeting will be super important. We have a guaranteed rate cut. It's practically guaranteed. It's like above 90% chance that we'll get that. We also have projections from the Fed for the rest of the year. The percentages of getting a second rate cut and the meeting after that is also very high. And it's almost, usually it's fluctuating between a 50-50 or a 60-40% chance that we'll be getting a rate cut for a third rate cut in December, which would be really good, depending on how tariffs impact the economy, which so far we have seen a positive impact for it. Contrary to popular belief and, contrary to what a lot of companies in the S&P 500 were expecting. They were expecting, earnings misses for a lot of the rest of this year. That is why we had a big crash on Liberation Day as well, especially from the stock market. A lot of these companies were expecting, if you're thinking that our company is going to do well, it's probably not going to do well because of the tariffs. Now, you can say some companies got carried away with that, using that as an excuse to kind of recalibrate what the traders should expect from them. Momentum was bad at that time. Everything was dropping. So they're like, you know what? What's just another drop? Let it all drop as hard as it can. And we'll give these 4-week economic projections. And then, it seems like this was their plan all along, in my opinion. They would beat those quarterly earnings. Now that they are coming out, we just saw a lot of good companies beating their quarterly earnings. Of course, some that didn't, they're still getting punished heavily. But those who are beating it are now looking forward for good economic projections. So, for the next quarterly earnings. So it seems like they all played that game, in my opinion. Why did I talk about this? Oh yes, tariffs. Tariffs could be good for economy, and rate cuts should be coming soon. Maybe we get a third rate cut this year. More rate cuts would weaken the US dollar, which would strengthen every other asset that goes against the US dollar. That includes Bitcoin, any stock, any ETF, and gold. So that should be important to pay attention to. All right. Not much else to say here for Bitcoin's price action. We just have those resistances. 117,500, which is the high that we had over here. And then next one would be 118,800. You could call that 119 maybe. I don't know. It's a huge range over here. Probably a lot of shorts to be liquidated. I haven't checked the heat map, so we could confirm that in a second. But yeah. Major resistance though at 123,000, of course, the all-time high itself. We'll see when we get there. This is the bigger news right now. Ethereum breaking $4,000. Finally, it happened at last. Did I see this yesterday? I think I did, yeah. We were all the way over here, pretty close yesterday, 3,000. Where would we have been? 3,800 almost? I mean, yeah, practically 3,900 almost too. I don't have the exact 4,000 level drawn, so I'm going to do that. And I'll just have that noted here as well, so that I know. That is the $4,000 line, which we broke through this morning, 8 a.m. I took profit at the very, very top of this 4,000, what was it, $11? We came back down. I thought it was a genius because I saw Ethereum drop back down to 3,950 almost. I'm like, yeah, I sold the top. Let's go. Just continued going higher right after that to 4,071, which is fine. I took profit on a lot of my Ethereum positions. I posted it on my Discord where I have my trades. There, most of those positions take profit hit. I still have some that were bought pretty high. I'm talking 3,900, 3,800, 3,700 among those. And I'm still like, they're not gaining enough to cover for the trading fees, right? The funding fees that have been accumulating since over 6 months, right? Since February, January, around that time, right? So I'm waiting for Ethereum to continue climbing a little higher. If it doesn't, it is what it is. I'll just, it should, right? But I still decided to take profits because my personal target for it was the $4,000 mark. We did reach overbought territory, right? We're due for, a draining in this momentum to continue maybe back down over here before we make our next leg up. I don't know how far below that's going to be. I'm going to have to do some extra analysis on that, probably taking this low point and whatever the high point is over here. But I do have the take profit set either way at around 4,100 plus, right? So if they hit, they hit. That'll be fine. I'll be out of those Ethereum positions, which I've been regretting for such a long time because I've been accumulating like since up here since 6 months ago. So it was not that great. Either way, we finally did it. Broke out of this. We would need a fib extension. Practically from this low point to this high point to this low point. So that's what I'm going to draw. Let me go to a daily chart. From where did I say? We'll do it from here. I don't think we'll expect to see Ethereum that far below ever in a moment. And plus, this is the uptrends that we are following. So I'll respect it. Give me trend-based fib extension from here to here until here. So that's the level we're currently at, 4,053. Next stop is 4,269, 4,360 according to this resistance one. I'm not sure if we can really trust it. We could, because we're getting new levels. Actually, this isn't a daily chart. This is talking about monthly pivot levels, so we can practically ignore it. These ones I'm talking about, we can also practically ignore until late Sunday. That's when we should be getting new pivot levels. Around August 10, August 11. Yeah, so watch out for that. Up 3.29%, Ethereum $4,017. Solana up 1.83%, $176.96 approximately. Same deal with Solana. I also took profits this morning. Let me show the history that I had over here. So this is one thing I mentioned yesterday night stream. I said, hey, if Solana hits 100, hype should hit like 80 something and Bitcoin should hit 20 something. And it did. And I also had a bonus position, by the way, that I decided to enter on Sui. Was that the right move, selling at 382? I mean, yeah, it's about the same price, 383 for Sui. Took a $10 profit on that. Solana was 100 and Bitcoin was 22. Hyperliquid was about 80. That practically is another 100, so 200 made in total from those great positions that I decided to enter into. Buying the exact bottom, look how perfect that is. I like it. I like it a lot. I wish I went with a lot more money, though. As suggested, yeah, I probably should have put thousands in there. Was I confident? No, not really. But I still decided to enter because I saw it's giving me an entry. Like, I have to go in with something, right? I decided to not put a lot and expecting things to continue dropping. Because I'll admit it, man, like, it was getting pretty hectic. We didn't know what Russia was going to do with this whole Ukraine deal and the tariffs imposed on India. We also had the opposite of what we're seeing right now with rate cut projections the fact that the economic data was so bad, the non-farm payroll data, and all this drama surrounding it, it looked like we were actually not going to get any rate cuts for the next meeting in September, which is, we were expecting to get the first rate cut in September for the longest time now. And now you were telling me that we were not going to do that. So that spooked a lot of the markets, right? But now, although that is practically gone, it's been erased, it's been undone. We are now expecting the rate cut to come back in September. So that's coming back. We have new updates on India, China, not China, India, Russia, and Ukraine deal. Putin's starting to comply little by little, so that'll be good. Now for Solana, uptrend confirmed, invalidates at 161, resistance 181, and then 186, 187 is your next resistance after that. We could consolidate in this range for the duration of the weekend. If we do see a price decay like breaking this support, we should stay above this pivot level until next levels get generated based off of previous week's volatility. Yeah. I do not need this limit order anymore. I had it at 146. I bought it at 155. How much did I buy? 157 is where I bought. Trying to time the bottom. I tried my best. It was pretty close. And we went back up from there. So I decided to take the profits. $100 made. Come into my pocket. Thank you very much. All right. XRP also kind of relaxing after making a big move yesterday, settling that lawsuit. Smart money losses. I'm sure XRP was among the few tokens that were heavily suppressed by short positions, right? It was mainly Ethereum, though. Ethereum was like that scapegoat of, we're all going to short Ethereum just because. And ETF sell-offs, Grayscale didn't help kind of deal. So, yeah, that's what you had. XRP invalidates its uptrend at 289. We've got plenty of room to run. You could... What do we do here? We could draw a fib extension to know where the next levels are. Because I originally had this as a retracement, which kind of helped determine where we would have bounced from. If you were lucky enough to put a position at around 278, that would have worked pretty well. But this is the uptrend that we maintain, so I will draw also a fib extension from this low point to our all-time high to the low point of the 272. And it's looking like 339 is the first resistance. Then you got 360, breakout of all-time high. Should take us to around 380. After breaking our all-time high for XRP, there's a good target. After that, you got 410 and 448. I don't know what you're going to expect after this, but hey, 448 max on XRP could top out really well this cycle. I don't want to call it too early, but, you know, it looks like it's on the right track. It looks possible. That's what we would like to see. SUI is up 2.35%, 384 current price. Swiss Bank Boost sparks $5 price target. Yeah, we kind of knew that they had that price target. I entered SUI. Is not going to show me. I guess not. I entered at 374, closed at 382. 374, so I bought like around over here where this line is. Sold at 382, did I say? Yeah. So practically where it is, a little bit lower, right over here. Small movement, $10 profit from bonus position. It is what it is. This is a major resistance, a level that I mentioned we would slow down around 385, 384. We have a support 371. Super trend invalidates 339, the uptrend. And resistance next stop is the $4 mark, psychologic level. Looks good for SUI so far. Boost 3.69%, which is nothing for SUI. We'll be back at $4 in no time. But weekend decay could keep us in this range for the moment being. I hate Saturdays just because of that. Chainlink is, it's not stopping. It just keeps on going up. I could have made a lot more profit, but I was wondering if we would slow down at this downtrend, and that's why I sold where I sold. But we didn't. We just broke out of that and continued much higher. We have no further resistances other than our top at $20.28. So that's where I'll remove this. I think we're safe to draw a fib extension here as well. What do you think? Let's go. So, of course, we've been higher with Chainlink before. And Chainlink is actually like a very important project. A lot of other projects wouldn't exist without it. Look at that. High point of $30 also coinciding after fib extension, like the highest point of it. One of the highest points. Then you got 39, 49, 55. I don't think we'll go that high. Hey, who's to say? So right now we're met with this exact resistance where we are right now. $20.10. The current price is $19.98. Next, you're looking at $21.21. Interesting. And then $22.78. And then $24.60 approximately. Those are your next resistances for Chainlink. We might slow down a bit over here though, because I think the movement is starting to exhaust itself, right? We are overbought at the current moment, which means that this could be a top before we, you know, consolidate, or weekend decay is what I like to call it, for the duration of Saturday. That might be the case. Nonetheless, the uptrend is looking very healthy. I could draw an extra line over here because this is looking a little bit more sharp. I would say, you know, super trend could climb up to 1763, but we have it at 1731 right now where the uptrend invalidates, you know. So that should take us to around this level over here. If we do consolidate or slow down with Chainlink, it might take us around something like this before we can continue higher. That's just being conservative though. If we have like good fundamentals in the upcoming weeks, then yeah, it could take us much higher for sure. But Chainlink has been very undervalued for a very long time. So I think it was just about time that we were starting to see a decent pump for it. Cardano almost hitting 80 cents. Did it reach 80 cents? Yeah, it did. 80 cents was the high point 24 hours. 80 cents with 655 millicents. Uptrend is official, finally. Supertrend is following it very perfectly. And it invalidates at 71. We got a very far drop before we see that 71, so we should be fine. We can sustain a 10% drop and be totally fine on Cardano. That's the good news for it. Downtrend is broken. Resistance is looking at $80.93, of course. 80 cents, 93. We're not in dollars. We can ignore this one probably because it's the weekend. We're not going to reach that during Saturday, and then Sunday we'll have new levels. The new levels should closely resemble these other lines at approximately, I'd say 83, 84, and then 88, which that should take us towards this next downtrend that we would have to face. If we're able to break out of that, it should take us through the final downtrend, and then it's uncharted territory for Cardano. Of course, these downtrends come from very long times back, levels we thought we would not see. But, yep, 2021 high. Ethereum has broken its 2021 downtrend. Litecoin has done that as well, which we'll discuss right here. And Cardano is next in terms of doing that. Litecoin has already broken it with this pump that we have over here. As of right now, Litecoin up 1.39%, $123. Kind of correcting a little bit. We do have this resistance at 126, so that's where it bounced down from. We have this great fib extension going on for us over here. Super trend invalidates at 109. It is climbing its way up as well. I think I would, I'm going to draw a new line. How could I draw this? About something like that is what best resembles the super trend. So that's what we'll be following for now. Yeah, once again, consolidation for the weekend could be around these levels between 126 and 120. Above 120, if we can hold on to that, we should be good with Litecoin. What else do I have over here? Hyperliquid, also bought down here. Was going to double down around the same price. Could have done it. Could have made more profit on it. It is what it is. I made $80. So we're still not out of the woods for Hyperliquid. It's still in a downtrend. But based off of these two local bottoms from World War III fears and just their most recent drop, August 2nd, fear of tariffs as well, we kind of got an uptrend going on. Although it is a very longer uptrend, right? So this downtrend should be ready to be broken first. We could stay around the 40 mark. Above $40 would be ideal before we start rising above 42, break out of that downtrend Fibonacci super trend, and should take us to around 44 after that. Looking good. I've spent 26 minutes talking about this, so let's move on to our news. We've got a lot of news to comment on. Here we go. Trump just announced this, and it is great. The highly anticipated meeting between myself as president of USA and President Vladimir Putin of Russia will take place next Friday, August 15, in the great state of Alaska. Further details to follow. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So it looks like it wasn't going to be the exact, 10 to 12 days, which would have finished up by the 10th. We're now giving it until the 15th, I guess. Hey, they worked something out before then, though. Like, this is the 10 days, 11, 12 days when Trump first announced it on, when was it? Tuesday the 29th? 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. He announced it on the 29th. Look, I'm not giving Russia 50 days anymore because they're clearly doing nothing. I'm giving them 10 to 12 days to figure out a resolution to this Ukraine conflict. Trump pressured Russia's biggest economic partner, India, by adding tariffs on India to try to, hurt the Russian economy by pressuring them, right, to get this done a little sooner. India, of course, ignored the first hit of tariffs, the 25% tariff, so Trump added another 25% tariff, totaling 50% tariffs. We'll talk more about India's response later on, but, of course, they don't want this. Trump says that he didn't care about their economies and stuff like that. He made those kinds of comments. So Russia was like, okay, well, we don't want to lose our biggest trading partner. We're going to work out a deal with the United States. And today was the 10th day since that 29th. So I guess it worked out. This was just announced today that next week, Friday the 15th, we're going to have some ceasefire talks, possibly. And it was looking bright since yesterday. They were very open to the idea of that, and today it's official, it's confirmed that they will be meeting up on August 15 in Alaska. So that is good. Putin is also offering a ceasefire in Ukraine in exchange for the Eastern Territory. I'm assuming this is the territory that he's captured east of Ukraine upon, the Russian forces that were able to capture it. If they're able to keep that, yeah, he'll be willing to negotiate a ceasefire. We'll see what happens. Trump is a good negotiator. We'll see. And this is Narendra Modi, president of India. His response on everything. They've doubled down. After Trump had doubled down on their tariffs on India, raising it to 50% due to their purchases of Russian oil. It's a prime minister, not president. Prime Minister Modi responds that he thanks Putin for sharing the latest developments on Ukraine and reviewed progress on their bilateral agenda. Modi says he will be hosting Putin in India later this year. He says in this tweet he had a very good and detailed conversation with his friend, President Putin. Thanked him for sharing the latest developments on Ukraine. We also reviewed the progress on the bilateral agenda, reaffirmed our commitment to further deepen the India-Russia special and privileged strategic partnership. So he doesn't look like he's going to break with, with Russia in terms of being trade partners. He's doubling down in that sense. And he also looks forward to hosting President Putin in India later this year. That's what he had to say about it. Which, of course, I think it doesn't really matter anymore. Once Trump negotiates whatever he has to negotiate with Putin next week, those tariffs on India should be removed. And Prime Minister Modi would also be thankful to Putin for that as well. But they're still not very happy with this whole tariff thing. India paused plans to buy U.S. arms, including P-8I aircraft, Stryker vehicles, Javelin missiles, and there was also the Indian defense minister who planned to visit the United States has also cancelled. So it seems like they're like making the United States into kind of not as much as a friend as they were before, right? Oh well, do we really need him? It's part of the process, I guess. Part of the way to pressure Russia to get into some ceasefire talks, right? Speaking of ceasefires, today's declaration by Armenia and Azerbaijan is welcome news on the road to lasting peace, says Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission. The timely implementation of the agreed steps is now crucial. The European Union will continue to support normalization efforts to achieve sustainable peace, stability, and prosperity for this region. I don't know exactly what's been going on there in Azerbaijan and Armenia, but hey, Trump's in the middle and he managed to make peace with those two countries, that they can have peace with each other. And it's to the point that people are willing to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize because of this, because of the India-Pakistan war, arguably because of the Middle Eastern conflict that's kind of no longer a thing. Although people were very critical of the way it was handled, it's fine now, I guess. And of course, what's happening next with Russia-Ukraine. Also a bit of criticism there because he promised to end that war within 24 hours of being inaugurated, but it's been way longer than that. We're many months, 200 days, I think, since he's been inaugurated. So, yeah, it's gonna work out either way, but it's just taken a while longer. That's the criticism that he's been receiving about it. All right, moving on. Jerome Powell, of course, we know how he is pro-Bitcoin. He is low-key pro-Bitcoin. I know a lot of people may disagree. They're thinking, oh, but he doesn't want to cut rates. He obviously doesn't want crypto to pump. He's just being very careful with the economy. He's supposed to be independent. He's not supposed to follow exactly what Trump says as much as we would like him to, because it would pump our bags, right? If he just decides, you know what, we're cutting rates. There you go. Enjoy pump. But he can't do that, right? He has to stabilize the unemployment rates, the money flow, interest rates. Of course, that's the point of it. He has to adjust all that stuff. So, you know, anyway, he still is commenting on Bitcoin and crypto, saying that the banks are free to conduct crypto activities, bullish stuff as well. Bank of England, by the way, has cut interest rates by 25 basis points. They now have 4% interest rate. That's good. You know, more money from England, should start hitting the markets pretty soon. And it's also coming soon to a country near you. The United States looks like they're getting a rate cut next meeting as well. It's looking good. We also even have, you know, criticism from the Federal Housing Director. What was his name? Paul something? Saying that Fed Chair Jerome Powell is hurting the housing market. Well, he has his own comments on it as well. We do know that one of the Fed governors has resigned, Fed Krueger. She's resigning today, actually. She's gone. And Trump had, what was his name? Stephen Moran? I think. Something like that. to replace her. I covered this yesterday in yesterday's stream. Again, some people are happy about this, some people are not that happy about this. The whole premise of the Fed is that it's an independent organization. It's not supposed to, be political about anything. It's not supposed to take any sides. No Democrat, no Republican side, right? They're just supposed to be independent, do what's best for the company. They're supposed to be private in that sense. But there's all this pressure, of course, coming from Trump and I guess the general public as well, those who have been listening to Trump, on, yeah, you know what, we do need these rates to get cut. It's costing the United States billions of dollars. It's slowing down the economy. We need that quantitative easing to, speed things up and make everyone richer kind of deal. So there's people who are happy with Stephen Miller being appointed. He's a friend of Trump. He's pro-crypto. And he is obviously likely to start voting for rates to be cut. He will serve until 2026, early, January or February. He'll be out by then, but he's temporarily filling up that spot. But other people are like, you know what? No, this is getting too political now. They're just doing whatever the president wants, and that's not the purpose of the Fed. The Fed is supposed to, be an independent organization from the government. But arguably, Trump is saying Jerome Powell himself is being political. He's taking the Democrat side by, making the Republicans look bad by not cutting rates. So it's that whole little conflict, a little drama they've got going on. But yeah. Anyways, we also have the IRS commissioner being fired by Trump. He also appointed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to serve as the IRS commissioner temporarily. Could be good. Why is this getting here? Get out of here. Yeah, it could be good. Maybe no more taxes. But I feel like there's a lot on this guy's plate already. Are we sure we want to do this? Hey, it's a temporary replacement anyway. We shall see. We also saw Bessent comment on digital assets, saying that they're going big on it. They're going to prioritize digital assets in this administration, unlike previous administrations where it was always suppressed, forgotten, ignored, kind of didn't care under other administrations. This time it's going to be different, and I mean, we're kind of seeing the effects of that already. Sure, we have our ups and downs, but overall, it's pretty positive. All right. We also have this surprising news. The University of Harvard. They purchased $116,666,260 worth of Blackrock's spot Bitcoin ETF. They're getting in on it too. Like I said, it's institutions, there's government agencies, there's companies, banks, countries. They're all getting involved in the purchase of Bitcoin. We also have more updates on BlackRock ETFs and what's the next step for them, right? They say that they currently have no plans to file for a Solana or an XRP ETF. At the very moment, we only have one Solana ETF. That's the Rex Shares Solana. It's not saying that they do not plan on doing it at all, but it's, according to this AI, a strategic pause, not necessarily a rejection. There's still regulatory limbo for Solana that persists, despite XRP's partial clarity, especially with what we saw with the SEC yesterday, ending the court case that's been going on for such a long time for XRP. That's finally been resolved. And because of that, it seems like if BlackRock was to file for a new ETF, XRP would be the next on the list. They may file for one after the lawsuit's resolution, which would be great to see. Although I would prefer a Solana ETF instead, with staking, that would be great. We also know, of course, Cynthia Lummis, don't forget about her, senator, saying that President Trump supports her crypto reserve bill, which, of course, we know proposes the United States purchases 1 million bitcoins. They're planning to do 200,000 bitcoin purchases every year for 5 years to total up to that 1 million. That will be more than the Mr. Satoshi Nakamoto himself. And on top of that, we already have 200,000 bitcoins in the strategic reserve, which is official, by the way. It exists. The United States has an official strategic Bitcoin reserve, in case people forgot. So that would be great. We just got to figure out how. How are we going to buy this? Are we going to sell the gold to buy Bitcoin? Is it the tariffs? Will we generate enough revenue from tariffs to, you know, remove income taxes, which was proposed as well before, or use that income from tariffs to buy more Bitcoin? That was also proposed. Seems like it might be the latter, in my opinion. Nothing's confirmed yet, but we do know President Trump's tariffs are working. There are $152 billion collected since January. That's pretty good. Trump says that tariffs are having a huge positive impact on the stock market. He posted this on Truth Social. Almost every day, new records are set. In addition, hundreds of billions of dollars are pouring into our country's coffers. If a radical left court ruled against us at this late date in an attempt to bring down or disturb the largest amount of money, wealth creation, and influence the USA has ever seen, it would be impossible to ever recover or pay back these massive sums of money and honor. It would be 1929 all over again, a Great Depression. If they were going to rule against the wealth, strength, and power of America, they should have done so long ago, at the beginning of the case, where our entire country, while never having a chance at this kind of greatness again, would not have been put in a 1929-style jeopardy. There is no way America could recover from such a judicial tragedy, but I know our court system better than anyone. There is no one in history that has gone through the trials, tribulations, and uncertainties such as I, and absolutely terrible, but also amazingly beautiful things can happen. Okay, great. So this further reinforces Trump's faith in the tariffs, knowing that they will be good for the economy in the long term. Something even I have mentioned, my little brain, without knowing a lot about this whole tariff stuff. I said, you know what? My opinion on it, I think it could be bad short term, which it was. Arguably, we've went through the worst already. And I said long term that these would be a good thing. Because it makes sense. It will bring the companies to start building in America. Will eventually make things cheaper because they're built in America. We're not importing them. Importing them would be more expensive. Companies do not want to pay a lot of money. So to avoid tariffs, they will move into the United States and start building in the United States, generating more jobs, more employment for Americans, and overall just mutually working together to build a great success, economically speaking, for the countries, for the companies, for the country of America. So that was my opinion on it. And it looks like it's working. I think we've been through the worst. What's next? What other tariffs are you expecting? They've already happened, right? It's now just working out trade deals and companies actually coming into the United States and making huge investments to help with the economy. So I think it's overall a positive thing. My mic is falling. I don't know how to fix it. Whatever. Jack Dorsey, the original founder of Twitter, by the way, very bullish on Bitcoin. He added 108 Bitcoins in Q2, bringing its total to 8,692 Bitcoins worth $1 billion he now has in his possession. Block is the company. And here I'm going to talk about the struggles of Ethereum, why it was such a big deal for Ethereum to break $4,000. Let me go back to the chart. We're happy to be above 4,000 again. 4,030. It's looking great, although we are met with this current resistance. Ethereum was unable to break above $4,000, and this had to do with market manipulation, something I did talk about. Binance selling millions of Ethereum and Solana as well. Solana, by the way, don't sleep on it. It's still incredibly undervalued compared to where it was before. Solana was double the price of where it is now, a little bit less, when Ethereum was a third of what it costs now. I don't know how to explain it, but Ethereum was 3,000, Solana was 300. Like, that's the kind of numbers we're talking about. Yeah. Solana deserves to be much higher. Why is Binance selling? Well, that's just what they do. Market manipulation. Binance was manipulating Ethereum and the entire altcoin market. We knew a lot about this because, like I mentioned, with the whole situation with Bybit getting hacked, losing lots of Ethereum to the North Koreans, Binance decided to help Bybit buy back a lot of their Ethereums, which they were able to do so very quickly, right? But on top of that, you know, they said, okay, if we're going to buy Ethereum back for you, we're not going to buy it at $3,000 each. We can manipulate the price, force it to drop significantly, open massive short positions on Ethereum to push Ethereum's price as far down as we can. And they did, by the way, to like less than 2,000. That way we can buy back all your Ethereums that you lost at a much cheaper price than the 3,000 plus that it once costed when they originally sold it. Well, when they originally lost it to the hack, sorry. So that's precisely what they did. They manipulated the price, made this huge cascading effect, liquidating tons of longs, opening big short positions, sending Ethereum to market makers. You know, it was a big sell-off that we saw with Ethereum. And it seemed like they were looking to try to make it look natural, like they weren't really doing this on purpose. They would wait for some sort of fundamental to come out. Oh, Trump imposes a tariff on aluminum. Ethereum crashes 30%. Why? Aluminum has nothing to do with Ethereum. Some people were blaming institutional investors, like, oh, they're scared and they're getting rid of risky assets because we have Ethereum ETFs. So that was a good excuse, actually. Good on them. But they were using those kinds of events to force the price as far low as they can, just to rebuy cheaper. And when they did, I mean, they still had a lot. We saw this data there. It was there. Ethereum was the most shorted asset that we had. Most shorts on Ethereum ever. Right? It caused a huge short squeeze, and look where we are right now. We're finally back. It took a while, but we're back. And of course, it all had to do with Bitcoin's rise as well to all-time highs. That kind of fueled everything to come back up again. And we saw how devastating the Bitcoin dominance was, especially the Bitcoin to Ethereum price. It was hitting all-time lows. That's how crazy it got. But we're back. We've recovered. And that's the good stuff about Ethereum. They're dumping millions of ETH by moving into multiple market maker accounts to sell off. Yeah, that's what the whole market manipulation thing was about. But ultimately, the Ethereum ETFs, they also did their thing, especially with Blackrock. They added 28,000 Ethereums, which is worth 110 million recently, helping Ethereum pump its price back up. And we had a total of $25 million worth of shorts liquidated in just 60 minutes with this rise to 4,000 earlier today. That was crazy. We have more institutional adoption of Ethereum. I've been constantly sharing all these companies, SharpLink and a bunch of other irrelevant companies I forget, but they're adding Ethereum to their strategic reserves. Tom Lee also, with his company, Ethereum Strategic Reserve. Ferrari, they're not adding a strategic reserve, but they're accepting payments in Ethereum in the US and Europe now. This, I thought I heard this one before, but apparently it was with Bitcoin that they accepted beforehand. And I'm pretty sure I covered that news. It was sometime last year. Ferrari accepting Bitcoin as payment. Now they're accepting Ethereum. More institutional adoption. We also have this company on NASDAQ, Fundamental Global. They're filing to raise up to $5 billion of an Ethereum treasury strategy. Would be great as well to see that happen. Coinbase, This is on separate news. They're going to be adding a decentralized exchange trading to their app. That would be great. And speaking of Coinbase as well, they're saying that Bitcoin ETF inflows will explode soon when advisors are able to recommend them, which is coming soon. Advisors recommending Bitcoin ETFs, that is now an actual reality. The fact that we are able to invest in crypto using your 401k retirement plans, that's a $12 trillion market. We could get some of that money flowing into the crypto market, would pump our bags significantly. You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of bullish factors to look up to. Rate cuts, 401k, Russia-Ukraine ceasefire. I'm trying to think. Give me a minute. More countries probably adopting Bitcoin, more institutions. It's just being more accepted everywhere. And we're still early to the game. I still feel that. All right, on to some bearish news. Joe McCann's $1.5 billion Solana Treasury SPAC was cancelled after his asymmetric fund plunged nearly 80% year to date. So there's criticism on this guy's how he's handling a Solana Treasury. It got cancelled. So no Solana Treasury for whatever company this guy was doing, or fund, asymmetric fund. And the news I shared with China, possibly exploring the option of adding a stable coin, a stable yuan, I guess. They cracked down on that hype. They ordered brokerages to cancel seminars and halt research dissemination. So it seems like they're... Is this good news or bad news? Am I reading that wrong? It's bad news, right? Like, they're not gonna do the whole stablecoin yuan thing. Because, fair enough, they banned Bitcoin and mining Bitcoin in 2021. They still have 195,000 Bitcoins, but that's just from seized assets. We do know that China and the United States are always in some sort of a Cold War, whether that comes from, well, I guess trade, technology, AI, and eventually it's going to be crypto. Who can accumulate the most amount of Bitcoins before the Bitcoin runs out? It's going to happen. All right. And more Canada clownery news. We had economic data come out today. We lost 51,000 full-time jobs in July. We only added 10,000 part-time jobs, which means only 60% of Canadians are working, which is the lowest point that we have seen since 1990. That comes down to a total of 51,000 full-time jobs. Sorry, 41,000 jobs lost. 51,000 of those were full-time. We added 10,000 part-time. Private sector lost 39,000 jobs. Employment rate is down 0.2 to 60.7%. The unemployment has risen to 6.9%. Ages 15 to 24 lost 34,000 jobs. I am in that range. Youth unemployment rate is down to 53%. That's the lowest level since November 1998. Youth unemployment rate has risen to the highest point since September 2010. Culture and recreation lost 29,000. Construction industry lost 22,000 jobs. 23% of unemployed are long-term unemployed. That's the highest share of unemployed since February 1998. Employment in Alberta is falling, 17,000 jobs. Employment in BC fell 16,000 jobs. Unemployment in Ontario is 7.9%. Toronto is 9% unemployment rate. That's really high. That's really, really high. Painfully high. Yeah, it's looking great. Really good. Hey, remember Kamala Harris? She won't be running again. She's calling the system broken. Remember President Maduro? There was a $50 million bounty for his arrest given by Trump, actually. And I don't know if this is real or not, but apparently Venezuela has counter-offered a $50 million reward for the unreleased Epstein files. Kind of a dig back at Trump is what it seems like. Pretty funny. And the ChatGPT 5, it's apparently not that great. It can do this math equation very well. 5.9 minus 5.11 Negative 0.21. Is that right? I saw this and I thought, yeah, that's wrong. But is it wrong? Am I just wrong myself? It's 0.79. It's a positive number. Why did it give that answer? Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. AI is the future. Oh, wait. It said Grok solve it. I want to see that. Go back. Grok solve the equation. Yeah, it's 0.79. Grok smarter than ChatGPT 5 confirmed. There you go, guys. Okay. That's going to be it for the stream tonight. That's all the news we had to talk about. Ethereum above, once again, that's great. I have no positions open. I'm going to have to wait a while till I find some good places to enter. What was I going to look for? Yeah, I wanted to look what coins are actually doing the opposite of going up today. I clicked on recently, gainers and losers. Aerodrome. I had somebody tell me about, what was it? Thorchain and... Oh, what else did he mention? What did you mention? It's somewhere in Discord. It's whatever. It had to do with an A somewhere. Lair is down, Mantle is down, Conflux. Stellar is down, but that's after a great day, so deserved. Because of yesterday's rise in XRP, Stellar also got contaged with that movement. Pangu is down, still pretty high though, 37. I wanted to buy it at 30. Meme Core, it's still dropping. Meme Core I've been paying attention to. Let me go to USDT. It was on the drop, but I don't know if it's oversold yet. Probably not. No, not yet. We'd see oversold when we hit 40 cents. That's where I would consider entering into this. It's a relatively new coin. It's been in a good uptrend. And it has to do with memes. Let me go to the About section and read this for you guys. Layer 1 blockchain, built for Meme 2.0, a new paradigm where meme coins transcend speculation to become engines of culture, value, and community coordination. Memes are not just content, they're currency, governance, and creative expression. The mission is to structure and sustain the meme viral economy, empowering anyone to launch tokens. Basically pump fun, right? Earn from cultural contributions and build openly in a decentralized meme-native environment. They envision a world where meme coins are vehicles of shared ownership and viral innovation. Every social media post, meme, remix, and on-chain action becomes a part of economic feedback loop, fueling a participatory ecosystem where culture is capital. Proof of meme, that's funny. Proof of stake, proof of work, proof of meme. A novel consensus layer that rewards culture and an on-chain participation. Community-centric rewards, on-chain contribution protocols, scalable meme infrastructure. Okay. They've got a max supply too. Not all of it is in circulation though, so I'd watch out for that. You kind of got the same deal. This is literally the same deal as Pump Fun. Funny. Okay. Yeah, then that's all for me today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Solana is low-key still a good buy. What else is still a good buy? Cardano. Solana and Cardano. Arguably even hyperliquid, but I'd be cautious with it. It's still on the rise. Solana, Cardano. If we get good dips on those, I'm buying into it more. They've got the more potential of rising, in my opinion. Out of the coins that I care about, at least. I'm sure there's other projects that also have great potential, so do your own research. Don't listen to me. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening.